watching the History Fella channel, and in this video we're looking at Operation Flipper, also called the Rommel Raid. This was a British commando raid during the Second World War, mainly by the men of No. 11 Commando. The operation included an attack on the headquarters of Erwin Rommel, the commander of Panzer Group Africa in North Africa. It was timed for the night of the 17th and 18th of November 1941, just before the start of Operation Crusader. The operation failed as Rommel had left the target house weeks earlier, and all but two of the commandos who landed were killed or captured. One member of the Special Boat Section team, who had secured the beach for the commando party, also escaped. From October to November 1941, a plan was formulated at 8th Army headquarters to attack Rommel's presumed headquarters near Beda Litoria, some 18 miles inland from Apollonia, Libya. Also, a wireless station and intelligence centre at Apollonia, an Italian headquarters and communications cable mast at Cairene, and the headquarters of the Italian Trieste division near Slunta. Although not specified in the orders, the goal of the raid was to kill or capture Rommel to disrupt German organisation before the start of Crusader. Rommel's headquarters were believed to be at Beta Litoria because Captain John Hazelden had reconnoitred the area disguised as an Arab and reported that Rommel's staff car came and went from the former prefecture. The operation was led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Laycock. Lieutenant Colonel Geoffrey Keyes, present throughout the planning stage, selected the most hazardous task of the attack on Rommel's headquarters for himself. Unbeknownst to the planners, Beda Litoria had only briefly been Rommel's headquarters and had been taken over by the Chief Quartermaster of Panzer Group Africa, General Schleusner. Some weeks earlier, Rommel had moved his headquarters nearer to Tobruk to be close to the action. Rommel was not even in North Africa during Flipper, having gone to Rome to request replacements for supply ships sunk by the British. On the 10th of November, HMS Torbay carried Keyes, Captain Robin Campbell, Lieutenant Roy Cook and 25 men. HMS Talisman transported Laycock, Captain Glennie, Lieutenant David Macbeth Sutherland and 25 men from Alexandria. On the night of the 14th and 15th of November 1941, Keyes' detachment landed on the beach at Kazm al-Kulb, guided by two men of the Special Boat Section, teams in foal boats or folding canoes. The breach lay near a place known as Hamana, some 250 miles behind Axis lines. Once ashore, they made contact with Hazelden, delivered earlier by the Long-Range Desert Group for reconnaissance. The weather deteriorated, and Laycock's group had much more difficult time getting ashore. Laycock and 7 men landed, but the rest were stranded on Talisman. With some 34 of the 59 men available, instead of 4 detachments attacking the targets, there were only 3. Laycock remained at the rendezvous, with 3 men to secure the beach. Keyes led his detachment of 25 men for the attack on Rommel's supposed headquarters, while Lieutenant Cook took 6 men to destroy the communications facilities near Cairene. Hazelden's detachment completed its mission and was picked up by the LRDG. Shortly before first light, Keyes' men moved to a wadi, where they sheltered until dark on the second night and then moved off. Their Arab guide refused to accompany the party in the deteriorating weather. Keyes then led his men on a 1,800-foot climb, followed by an approach march of 18 miles in pitch dark and torrential rain. Hiding in a cave during the day, the detachment advanced to within a few hundred yards of the objective by 10 o'clock on the third night. At 23:59, Keyes led his party past sentries and other defences up to the house. Unable to find an open window or door, Keyes took advantage of Campbell's excellent German by having him pound on the front door and demand entrance. They set upon the sentry, who opened the door. Campbell shot him, and Keyes might have been wounded in the scuffle. The official version is that Keyes opened the door to a nearby room, found Germans inside, closed it again abruptly, reopened it to hurl in a grenade, and was shot by one of the Germans. Only one round was fired by the Germans during the raid on the HQ. Keyes was taken outside quickly, but died. Shortly afterwards, Campbell was accidentally shot in the leg by one of his own men. He passed command to Sergeant Jack Terry and remained behind. Terry gathered the raiding team and retreated with his 17 men to rejoin Laycock at the beach. An Italian source, not explicit in naming the British names, points that Cook's men encountered a platoon of Italian police paratroopers. The Italians had been searching for the British raiders close to the village of Mansoura. According to the source, 2nd Lieutenant Alfredo Sandulli Mercurio and the 3rd Battalion, or 3rd Platoon, 2nd Company, encountered what they thought was a band of Arabs hiding along a mountain ridge on the 19th of November. When Mercurio's Arabic interpreter called out to them, the Italians were fired upon and the paratroopers engaged. What they now knew were British commandos, who withdrew to a cave. With no way out, the wounded commandos surrendered after Mercurio threatened to use flamethrowers on them. The paratroops took prisoner a group of consisting of an officer, one NCO, and 3 other ranks. Except for the officer, all the British were wounded and received medical treatment from the Italians. Mercurio searched the cave and found small arms and 3 demolition charges. The Italians suffered 3 wounded during the fight. It proved impossible for Laycock's party to re-embark on the submarines that waited for the weather to improve. They were discovered and exchanged fire with local Italian gendarmes. Aware that they could not hope to stand off the large force that was surely being organised, Laycock ordered that the men scatter. Laycock and Terry made it to safety after 37 days in the desert, and Bombardier John Brittleback, one of the SBS team who had guided the commandos in the Folbots, escaped and survived alone in the desert for 40 days until being picked up by Allied troops. The rest of the raiding force were captured, some of them wounded. Contrary to some reports, only Keyes was killed by the Germans. One man had drowned during the landing. On the 17th of November 1941, the day of the raid, Rommel was in Italy, having left for Rome on the 1st of November, which became known to British military intelligence via Ultra on the 17th of November, and that he was due back in Africa on the 18th. An emergency signal was sent to Middle East Command, but was too late to stop the operation. On the 15th of November, a decrypt of an Italian C-38M machine cipher had revealed that the Italians knew from diverse sources that a British landing was imminent near Oppolinia. The German historian Hans Edelmeier suggests that Rommel was not the objective of the raid, and his name not featuring in the plan supports this. There is no proof that Haselden reported Rommel's presence at the house in Beda, and it had never been explained how Rommel was to be found or recognised by the commando unit. The only extant evidence that Rommel was the object of the raid came from a witness, Gunner Jim Cornell, who related that Keyes briefed the men on board the Torbay, and their objective was to get Rommel. When news of the raid reached him, Rommel was seen to be indignant that the British should believe his headquarters was 250 miles behind the front. Rommel preferred to be near the front line with his troops. The British suffered 2 men killed, 28 captured, 3 wounded, and 3 men escaped. German casualties were 4 killed and 3 wounded. Keyes' body and those of the 4 dead Germans were buried with military honours on Rommel's orders in a local Catholic cemetery. For his actions, Keyes was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross. The citation for the award was written by Robert Laycock, who, contrary to British military custom, was not a witness to Keyes' actions on the night in which he was killed. Almost none of the statements in the citation were verifiable, and some contradict witness accounts. Sergeant Jack Terry was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal, and Bombardier John Brittlebank later received the DCM for actions including the Rommel raid. Gunner Jim Gornall was awarded the Military Medal. Another attempt, this time by the SAS group, was made to kidnap or assassinate Rommel in Operation Gaff in July 1944, but Rommel had suffered skull fractures in an RAF attack 11 days earlier. If you found the information in this video informative or helpful, please feel free to give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I thank you for watching and listening to this video.